Okay, let's begin our prayers. Jnananjana Sharakaya Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gatamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare. Where we stopped yesterday. Okay, 4.13. So let's there. So we'll get to know what all we did in this chapter. Okay. Aturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them by me, and although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer being unchangeable. Just a minute. Okay, it's saying Brahmanas are Vaishyas mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and Shudras mode of ignorance. So what is Krishna saying here? What are Varnas? Varnas are the social order, no? Occupational duty, and Ashram means spiritual order. Business, you work nature. So Krishna gives instruction to stay in that Varna, follow all the prescribed duties, and then continue your duties, and from there you can make progress. Like Brahmanas have 9 duties, Kshatriyas have 7, I think have labor and service. So they have their own duties. So the foundation or the reason behind these divisions is what is the foundation? What is the reason why Krishna has made this? Because everybody has their own nature, and it is all divided on guna and karma. It is all and that work he can do, for him. As per So it is because of guna and karma. So there are 4 sections of society based on activity, guna and karma, not birth. So this also we discussed in the 18 days course. And then Brahmanas are compared to the head of the society, head of the Lord. Actually, it's like that. If you read Bhagavatam, you'll get the clear picture. And Kshatriyas are compared to the arms. They're in the mode of passion. Vaishyas are compared to the thighs. Okay. And then everyone is important. Shudras are compared to the legs. So we cannot say legs are more important, head is more important, thighs are more important, arms are more important. Everyone is important, and every person has his own nature. There's one small, there's one little story from Bhagavatam if you want to hear. It is like this. There is this person, small boy, his name is Satyakam Jabal. What he does is he goes to Gautama Muni and says, I want to become your student. Can you instruct me? I want to learn from you. But Gautama Muni wants to know who this boy is. So he says, okay, tell me about your father. Okay, there is no electricity, power just went. That's why it's dark. It will come back. Don't worry. I hope you can hear me though.
Yes, Mataji.
You can hear me, right? Okay. So this boy says, okay, I'll come back and tell you the answer. He goes back and he asks his mother, Mother, can you tell me who I am? Like, who is my father and what is our family? And tell me more about ourselves and all that. Mother says, I don't know who the father is. So this boy goes to Gautam Muni and he's taking a risk actually. He understands if he goes and says, I don't know who my father is and I don't know anything about my background, then the sage will not accept him as a student. But he takes the risk. He says, I really don't know who my father is. Then Gautama Muni will immediately say, you are a Brahmana, because Brahmanas don't lie. They're very honest. So says, by nature, you are a Brahmana. So I will instruct you. That's how it is. People have their nature. It is so inborn in them. So everyone is important. Same way, brahmacharis, grihasthas, one who takes vanapastashrama, and then sannyasa. Brahmacharis are considered compared to the legs, grihasthas are compared to the belly, vanaprasthas, whoever takes that vanaprastha when they are, little older, they are compared to the arms, and sannyasashrama is compared to the head because they are like the leaders of the society. Okay, there is another chart here for our easy understanding. Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam. Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these classes because he is the creator and not a conditioned soul. So Varnashrama Dharma division is based on Guna and Karma. Krishna is the creator. He's saying, I only created this. Why? Because everybody has their own nature, and by following this, they can perform their duty ascribed as whatever they're ascribed. But nothing is, Krishna does not come under all this. Yet, when you see him in this, when he was here, he was following all the rules, right? He was, as a Brahmana, like you see how he received uh, who's that his best friend Sudhama. He received Brahmana as a Kshatriya king. He received him. He offered him the best seat. He washed his feet, and then when he was a Vaishya, he took care of all the cows as Gopala. Then he was a charioteer. That's the job of a Shudra. He performed that also. That does not make him any inferior to anybody. So he performed his activities perfectly. So a Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmana. Brahmana comes under the mode of goodness, Kshatriya mode of passion, Vaishya mode of passion and ignorance, Shudra mode of ignorance. The purpose of this system, elevate from animal status to human status. People could purify themselves by regulating desires, because that is the greatest obstacle in our path, sense gratification. Mind does not listen, senses are going haywire, so we cannot progress in our spiritual journey. So this will give them, some activities in a regulated way, so that way they can progress. Process of purification for one whose material desire inhibits him from directly approaching Krishna. This is the purpose. Systematically develop Krishna consciousness. Then Brahmana by quality is supposed to know Brahman, the supreme absolute truth. But most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman, one who transcends limited knowledge. Is a Vaishnava, is beyond four. And Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions like Lord Rama. One in Krishna consciousness to all society. Krishna, who is a non-dual within the modes as mixture of three modes, then work and co-op are performing in the whole. So this is operation, it is nation. Ashramas for recommended for Vaishyas. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spraham iti mam yo abhijanati karma bhirna sabadhyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So we were just talking about Sudama. Sudama is here. So he showed us how to receive a qualified Brahmana with lot of respect. Then this is Krishna running towards Bhishma with the chariot wheel. And then this is, as a Kshatriya, he was a perfect Kshatriya ruler. Then this is Krishna and Balram with all the cows and calves. And then Krishna as a charioteer. So he's telling, according to Varnas, there is work ascribed for everyone, but there is no work ascribed to me. We all have to work. Why? We have to maintain the body and soul together. Body needs food, nourishment, protection. We have to stay under some shelter. But soul does not need all this. Soul needs Krishna consciousness. It needs to make the connection with the Lord. That's what the soul is looking for. So Krishna is not affected by all these activities of the world, but still he performed all this. Whatever he performed all the activities of Krishna. Those activities are called pastimes. Okay, he associated with the devotees like this. He reciprocated their love, and he was really happy. You will never see him sad. So Krishna does activities without any expectation or material desires. So he's above the rules of material nature, and he is not partial to anyone, as you can see. His best friend wanted him to drive the chariot, and he was ready for it. He did it out of love, right? Out of his mercy. Same thing. Everywhere you can see that, he's not partial. It depends on us. 14 is over. 4.15. Evam tyatva kritam karma purvair api mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. He's advising Arjuna to act in Krishna consciousness and to follow in the footsteps of his previous disciples. He just took one name, right? Just in the previous slides we saw, he took the name of sun god Vivaswan. So he's telling, you have to work like them. So there are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things. Their mind is dirty, heart is dirty. And some of them are materially free. So Krishna consciousness actually helps one to cleanse all these dirty things, by following all the regulative principles. A person can clean his heart by chanting, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, chant, so that, heart gets cleaned up. So he can do that. He'll become pure. And a person is already in the process of, Krishna consciousness is already there. He just has to follow the same thing and set an example for the rest of the people to follow. So that's what his duty. So some of the neophytes, they think, okay, once I become a sannyasi or once I get into spirituality, I just don't have to do anything, I just give up all my activity. That's not what it is. Arjuna wanted to run away, but Krishna said, no, get up and fight. You have to be Krishna conscious, but at the same time, do your duty, perform your duties. Section 3, understanding karma on the platform of dhyana, removing reactions. Transcendental knowledge helps one to clear up philosophical doubts. Also helps to clear up karmic bank balance, burns karma, good karma, bad karma, everything. It becomes zero. So you can go back to Godhead. You can go back to where Krishna is without any good karma and bad karma. Both will hold you up here. You have to stay back here. It also, karma is a universal law of nature. For every action, there is a reaction. Bad karma is obviously undesirable, and Krishna explains that even good karma should be avoided. Beyond good and bad is the spiritual level, no action and reaction, that is akarma. Understanding karma on the platform of jnana, nishkarma karma. Jnana, action, forbidden action, inaction, karma, vikarma, and akarma. We'll understand this now. So, what is karma? Actions which are performed in terms of one's prescribed duties as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Okay, that is karma. Vikarma is actions which are performed by the misuse of one's freedom, which direct one to the lower life. That is vikarma, forbidden action. Akarma, actions which free one from the cycle of birth and death. Law of nature, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo api atra mohitaha takte karma pravakshyami yajnatva mokshase ashubhat. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Okay. Krishna is trying to make us understand the elements of karma. He does not speak much about karma. We worry about karma all the time. But Krishna is just giving, little bit information about karma, but the whole of Bhagavad Gita is about various other things. At the end, you will understand it's all about Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So in this, he's talking about three words, right? Karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. Akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gati. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction. So this is able for us to understand Vikarmis. They don't follow the Vedas. They risk, being degraded to lower species and not appreciated by saintly people. They defeat the purpose of life. Karmis. They follow the Vedas. They are pious. They attain Svarga, bodies of demigod. By all their pious credits, they can go to higher planets. They eventually return to Martyaloka. Why? Because once their credit is over, they have to come back. It's like you go on a vacation, spend all the money that you have earned, and you again come back and earn some more. That's how it is. That is how they, work. Karmis. Akarmis. We have Narad Muni here. He's always performing activities, right? He's singing the Lord's praises. He's going from one planetary system to another. He can go anywhere. He does not need a visa. The Lord has given him that, he's sanctioned. Everything is sanctioned for him. So he has the Lord's mercy. So they come to devotional service to Krishna. Whatever they do, don't accrue any action, no sense, because they're performing all activities for the Lord. That's how it is. So vikarmis do activities that are not supposed to be done, forbidden action. It's not mentioned in the scriptures. Whatever is sinful, that's what they do. So there is a reaction to it, and they defeat the purpose of life. They don't understand. They never question who am I, what is the purpose of life. They are not in that stage yet. Karmis are like they perform all the prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas, and akarma, we saw what is akarma, like because of Narad Muni, we can understand he is in that stage. So atheists are people who, they think Krishna and demigods are all equal. So, and Prabhupada writes in the purport, they are actually called Pashandis because they are comparing demigods. They think they both on the same level. Krishna and demigods are on the same level. So they are called Pashandis. Okay, and atheists also, and anyone who atheists don't believe in the Lord anyway. The people who think they are all equal, they are actually Pashandis. Okay, akarma is no fruitive activity, binds, and it means rebirth. They understand that very well. 2.18. Karmani akarmaya pashet akarmani cha karmayaha Sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta kritsna karmakrit. One who sees inaction in action and action in action is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sort of activities. Okay, so a person acting in Krishna consciousness is free from the bonds of karma because all his activities are performed for Krishna. So neither he is enjoying nor suffering because the effect is not there. So it's all for Krishna. But a person, he looks like he's engaged in all kind of activities. He's using materials. It looks like he's performing the same activities that he's performing, like we are all performing, but that's not true because he's very intelligent. He actually is using all the materials in the service of the Lord. So, but what do impersonalists do? Prabhupada talks about impersonalism a lot, just to make it very clear that Krishna is real. He is a person. What do impersonalists do? They stop fruitive activities. They cease fruitive activities out of fear. The result of their action will not become a stumbling block for their spiritual progress. So that's why they think, oh, I should not do this. And since the body is a cause of all the miseries, they think, okay, I can just go merge into the light and become one with the Brahmajyoti, and then there is a lot of peace. But that is their thought process. That's how they think. So personalists or devotees, they engage in the Lord's service. So they know that they are supposed to use everything in the Lord's service, and they believe that Lord is a person, and also they enjoy transcendental happiness while serving the Lord with all their senses. So that's how they are. They don't stop any activity. Okay. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni datta karmanam tam ahu panditam buddhaha. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Okay, so only a person in full knowledge can understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness. Since he knows his constitutional position, he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. All these reactions also get burned up because he's in perfect knowledge. And this knowledge is like fire. It will burn all the reactions. So who is a learned person now? Who do you call learned? A person is learned, is considered learned only if he has attained this perfection of knowledge. What is the knowledge? That he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. So if he has understood this much, then he is a learned person. And this kind of, the knowledge is compared to fire. This fire will burn up all kinds of reactions. You don't have to worry about what will happen if I do this, because everything is done for Krishna. So in Krishna consciousness, a person who is working for the Lord is actually working out of pure love for the Lord, nothing else. He's so happy just performing it out of love. So that's how it is. He's not worried about his personal maintenance. He's not anxious at all. He's completely dependent on the Lord. He's fearless. He's like, I don't worry about anything because the Lord will take care of me. That kind of mentality. Prabhupada writes in the purport also, a person who wants to become a sannyasi, if he has any fear, oh, what is going to happen to me next? Where will I get my food from? What if there is some, negative impact for this and that? If he has these kind of doubts in his mind, he should not even become a sannyasi. So a pure sannyasi or a elevated devotee is totally fearless, totally unattached, It leaves everything to Krishna. So such an unattached person is actually free from the results of his action. He's not doing anything for his sense gratification. And this is a sign of akarma. And these are the signs of a pure devotee. Okay. Open to one. Nirashriryata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha Shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilvisham. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life, thus working is not affected by sinful reactions. Okay. So his Krishna conscious person's mind and intelligence are completely controlled. He knows whatever he's doing is just playing a part in the grand scheme of things. He's like, his own activities are done in such a way that the Lord is actually making him do. This is a part. It's like a small part of a bigger machine. Every part is important, right? So it's like I'll play this role. I'll help the Lord in his mission. That's all he's worried about. Nothing else. Like even Vasudeva and Devaki, they knew very well, they knew Krishna was God, and they were just playing. If you read Krishna book, you will understand. They were just playing the part, Krishna had to appear here. So that was their role. They were playing their role very nicely. So devotee understands I'm playing a role on a bigger, a bigger platform. So a machine actually needs oiling and cleaning, and all the nuts and bolts and everything needs to be taken care. That's how they also take care of the body. I need this body because I want to serve the Lord, so I'm going to maintain the body, and they might maintain whatever is required, bare minimum. That's how much they take, nothing more. So, and all the activities are dovetailed for Krishna's desire. He has no desire for personal sense gratification. These are all Goswamis in this image over here. Okay. So a Krishna conscious person is fully engaged in self-realization and nothing else. So he's free from all reactions to all his actions. He does not beg or borrow, and he does not allow anyone's service to hinder his own service. He's very firm in his goal. I have to serve the Lord no matter what. Nothing comes in that decision. So he's very, very firm. Dhrida vrataha. We in this world, actually, we feel duality, right? There is heat and cold, happiness, misery, there is a victory, defeat. We feel so many emotions when we see all this. But a person, a pure devotee of the Lord, who is in that stage, you see all these Goswamis, who is really elevated, he is above such dualities. It does not work so that, even if there is something that he plans for something and it does not happen, he'll think, okay, this is the Lord's wish. Nothing. He's very steady. His success, failure, nothing bothers. He'll just go ahead. Whatever happens, I'm going to serve the Lord. Whether if the activity is not successful or failure, whatever, he does not look at it like that. He just thinks this is how it's supposed to be because I'm going to focus on the activity. Just keep serving. That's it. So if somebody is like this, then you can understand that such a person is actually a pure devotee. Okay, we'll read this verse also. 22. Yadrichalabhasantushto dvandvatito vimatsaraha samasiddhav asiddhav cha krutva pina nibhadyate. He who is satisfied with gain, which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. A lot of messages in the chat. Okay, maybe it's the internet, Mataji. The weather has been like this, so probably that's why my voice is cracking. Hopefully it is clear.
Yes, Mataji, it is clear now.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. The weather has been like that from past few days, heavy rains and all. So probably, that is affecting the internet connection also. So it is clear.
It's clear now, Mataji.
Nandita Mataji had to announce something. If she is here, maybe she will.
Hare Krishna, Rupa Mataji. I'm so sorry to keep interrupting your class. Please forgive me.
No problem, Mataji.
We will take 5 minutes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Matajis and Prabhujis, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We had spoken about the Bhakti Vriksha groups. I had messaged again. So Chaitali Mataji is the admin for this. She will post links right now. Chaitali Mataji, can you please start posting links of all the groups from 1 to 7? please kindly join one group that you wish to. You all must have already seen the timings. I've reposted the timings. So if you all can please choose one group and join, that would be great. We are not allowed to post these links in the group because people end up joining multiple groups and it creates a lot of confusion. Very sorry about that. So if you all can please join one group. In case you miss out on it, you can message Chaitali Mataji. She will give you the link to join later. But preferably, please do it right away. We will take 5 minutes only.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
So can we continue, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Chaitali Mataji, you'll keep posting the links, no? Matajis and Prabhujis, you all can click and join any one group that you wish to. And if anything gets missed out, please message Chaitali Mataji or me later. We'll help you out.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rupa Mataji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Announcement. Okay. So again, it's all about sacrifice. Let's understand what we mean by sacrifice. Okay, there's a lot of information about that. Kata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Okay, so whatever a devotee does, he does for Krishna. So technically, all his work that he does in transcendental consciousness, and it is actually sacrifice, because sacrifice means working for Krishna, satisfying the Lord's desires. I'll mute everyone. Okay. So that what he does is actually sacrifice. So all the activities in Krishna consciousness can lead us ultimately to the spiritual goal. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. So there are various activities in Krishna consciousness. So what is the principle in Krishna consciousness? What is Krishna consciousness actually? It is a process by which all the conditioned souls can get out of this material creation, come out of this material atmosphere. And, through this sacrifice, what the Lord is mentioning here, can actually come, remove all these reactions for our activities and go back to Godhead and be situated on a transcendental platform. That is what is Krishna consciousness. And the Lord is Yagneshwara. So all the sacrifices that are recommended in the Vedas and everything what we are talking about is ultimately going to reach Krishna only, because he is the Yagneshwar. So it is to be for him, and he is the benefactor of everything. So what is here given here? Let us read this. This is from the purport. In this spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result or ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute, the supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness. Everything is done for Krishna. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir, Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. How many times the word Brahma is? Okay, what it means, let's understand. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Here the word Brahman means spiritual. Okay, and the Lord is spiritual, and the rays of his transcendental body are called Brahma Jyoti, his spiritual effulgence. So everything that exists is situated in that Brahma Jyoti, and when the Jyoti is covered by illusion or sense gratification, it is material. So that can be removed. Okay, this material veil can be removed by Krishna consciousness. That can happen at once. The moment a person is on the right track, the veil of This material veil can be removed. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. So matter dovetailed for the cause of absolute truth becomes spiritual. Then that will automatically have spiritual quality. So Krishna consciousness is a process of converting this illusionary consciousness into Brahman or the Supreme. So that's what it is. The moment you start acting for the Lord, everything becomes spiritual. And what is Samadhi? Samadhi is when the mind is completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. It's completely in trance. So even in you'll see in Bhagavatam, there are many examples of devotees who were constantly thinking about Krishna, like Prahlad Maharaj, Yashoda. There are so many, for not even 1 second they can forget Krishna. They were already in Samadhi. That is complete Samadhi, They can't forget Krishna for 1 second also, no matter what they are doing. Working on one's own account and working on God's account. There are some examples here. We can understand. It's like we know the Lord is a proprietor. We say, this is my house, that is my land, this is my office, this is my table. No, I own all this. We just say, because we have to say that because we are in this material world. So there is some kind of possess. I possess this, you possess that, that is yours, this is mine. But actually, when you're working for the Lord, with that consciousness, what happens? It's like a cashier who is counting money in the bank. He counts maybe thousands of dollars, so much money. But at the end of the day, he leaves everything there and goes back home. So a cashier receives or issues lakhs on behalf of bank. The moment he steals a penny, he's arrested. So it doesn't belong to him. So that's the kind of consciousness a devotee has. He knows everything is owned by the Lord. It does not belong to me. Even the body is not ours. Actually, it's just that, Bali Maharaj, if you read that story in Bhagavatam, you'll understand. He wanted to give a very big charity to the Lord, and what do we own anyway? What are you going to offer Krishna? Everything is his. Then, right? Killing army is a red Paramvir Chakra. When he kills neighbor, he's arrested. This is an example for devotional service. Just like, because that soldier is working under somebody's instruction. There is a boss, is working for the country and is following instructions. So there is no sin. That's his duty. He has to do what he is supposed to do. And we are going to applaud him for what, if he's really, performs his duties properly, we're going to applaud him. But if he kills someone for his own personal interest, then that is a sin. Because nobody asked him to. That was not his duty at all. So that's the difference. If I'm working for sense gratification, then definitely there is a reaction. But if I'm working for the Lord under his guidance, for us it is a spiritual master who is a representative of Krishna. We are in those Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. If Guru, Sadhu, Shastra are advising us to do something, it is always correct. So we'll never go wrong. So if that happens, then that is fine. Otherwise, it is for my own sense gratification and there is going to be some reaction. Okay. And here Arjuna is fighting for Dharma. It's the Dharma Yuddha on behalf of Krishna, on behalf of God. But Duryodhana is fighting for his own selfish plan. He wants everything for himself. He doesn't want to share. So that was his problem. So you can see the difference now. Section 4. Sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. Fruit of all kinds of Vedic sacrifices is transcendental knowledge. This leads to liberation and ultimately to pure devotional service. So varieties of sacrifices which lead to transcendental knowledge are explained. Demigod worship, sacrifices into Brahman, hearing process and senses in the fire of mental control. The unadulterated brahmacharis. What do we mean by that? These brahmacharis live a very strict life. Today we cannot call any bachelor a brahmachari. No, that's not right. A brahmachari was a celibate. He was serving his supreme master. He had a master, a guru. He had to serve him. Whatever guru says, he has to do. That was his job. And he has to constantly hear Vedic sounds. He has to study the scriptures. No unnecessary thought in his mind. no dating, nothing. He cannot think about, oh, whom will I marry, or thinking about thoughts about the opposite sex. Nothing like that. It's complete celibate in the mind also, in the body also, in his heart also. He has to live a very strict life. So unadulterated brahmacharya. It is not easy, but that's how they were trained. So they are being trained. After they finish this ashram, they enter grihasthashram, and they are very pure until then. So that's how it was. Today's society is not like that. We can't call anybody brahmacharis just because they are bachelors. That's not true. Then what happens? A grahastha, when he wants his daughter to be married, he's looking for a groom from this ashrama, brahmacharya ashrama. He'll pick a brahmachari. And because that person is already trained under a guru, how he knows how to regulate his senses. And when he enters grihastha ashrama, he knows how to conduct himself. He knows how to be, what are the rules to be followed, and all the sense gratification, everything is all regulated. He follows everything perfectly. He knows how to serve the Lord, how to take care of his family, what are his responsibilities. So that's how they were trained. Hearing process, in the sense they're constantly hearing only Vedic mantras, Vedic, the Lord's, Krishna Katha, or whatever it is, only scriptures, nothing else. And whatever the Guru tells, that's it. Then objects of, and they chant a lot. So it's like their ears are like Yagna Kunda, their tongue is chanting. So it's all oblations offered to their consciousness. So very pure life. Objects of senses in the fire of the senses. Regulated grihasthas. Grihasthas lead a very regulated life. So there is no, because they're already trained anyway. They know what they're supposed to do. They know, I'll just do what I want to do. No, they know, I have a wife, take care of her. I'll be loyal to her. No, it's like that. Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, yogis, we learn about Ashtanga Yoga in chapter 6. It's a very difficult process where they try to control their senses and mind and all that. Patanjali Yoga system offers the function of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. The goal is merging into existence of absolute. Charity, Dravyamaya Yagna. Dravyamaya Yagna is, the charity is like, you offer charity, right? If you are just giving up materials, I'll just give this to someone because I want to help that person. He'll get clothes. If I feed him, I'll feed him some food. If I give him clothes, he will have something to wear. If this is consciousness, then there is nothing spiritual about it. It's all on a material platform. So we have to, move ahead of that. Charity in the sense, they're talking about Dravya Mayagna. This is just giving up materials. But like this, example, charitable institutions, you go to old age homes, give something, nothing wrong with it. We'll learn about it in Bhakti Yoga chapter also. They are also, they also have a chance to move up the ladder. But what is actually spiritual, what is on a material platform, we'll learn that very clearly in the next few chapters. Austerity, Tapomaya Yagna. In Chaturmasya and Chandrayana, they have to follow some austerities. They have to wake up, take a bath, and they give up they eat once a day or something. And there are some rules are there that they follow, austerities to be followed. Yoga Yagna, sacrifice for a certain perfection in material world. They control the senses again. Patanjali system for merging into the existence into the absolute. Hatha Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga for particular perfections. They sometimes want mystic opulences, they want to gain some siddhis. That's why they do that. Some people go to holy pilgrimage. Study of scriptures, Swadhyaya Yagna. It's also called Jnanamaya Yagna, Upanishads and Vedanta Sutra, Sankhya philosophy. They study a lot. So they're sacrificing their time, their energy they put in studying all this. Hatha Yoga and Pranayama. So again, one more chart for us to understand. Sacrifices to demigods and Supreme Brahman. Sacrifice of worldly possessions. Sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Okay. So primary divisions of sacrifices. It's like sacrifice of worldly possessions is like you go to the demigod and say, I want this. Give me a promotion. Give me a house. Provide me this. and I'll do this for you. That's the kind of mentality. Sacrifice of worldly possessions. They want something in return. They go to demigods for that. Okay. And aim of sacrifices is superficiality. There are different categories of sacrifices by different types of performers only superficially demark the varieties. So there are different kinds of sacrifices. It depends on the performers, because everybody has their own mentality. Some people are on bodily platform, some people are a little more advanced. So based on their thought process and nature, there are different kinds of sacrifices. Factual aim of all sacrifices is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as Yajna. Okay. Comparison of various sacrifices. Demigod worshippers. They sacrifice material possessions for material enjoyment. They worship demigods for various material benefits and are called Bhavishwaravadi, believers in many gods. Impersonalists, what do? They sacrifice their own self into the fire altar of Supreme Brahman. They regard the forms of demigods as temporary. So sacrifice their material designations and their individual existence by merging into existence of the Supreme. They give up their individual identity. They're like, I merge into the Supreme. I don't exist anymore. I'm just peaceful. Okay, that's how they are. But Arjuna is not giving up his identity. He's going to serve the Lord with full attention and complete detachment. That is a personalist, a pure devotee. An impersonalist sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation. They are trying to understand the Supreme, but in their own way, because they think the Lord is not a person. So that their understanding is like that. Krishna conscious devotee, what does he do? He sacrifices all material possessions and own self for Krishna's satisfaction. So Arjuna is going to sacrifice everything for Krishna. Everything. He's just going to follow his instruction blindly. In the 18th chapter, we'll come to know. Krishna says, okay, I'll told you about everything. Now I leave it up to you. You decide. But I've given you all the information, spoken about all kind of yogas and everything. Now it's up to you. But then Krishna knows what to do. By then, his illusion is gone. So Arjuna sacrifices everything for satisfaction of Krishna. He's a first-class yogi without losing his existence. He's still Arjuna only. He still has existence. He's not into Krishna or merging into any Brahma Jyoti or anything, but he's just going to follow Krishna's directions and he's going to work for Krishna. He knows that is my only goal. So that is Arjuna's understanding, and he's a first-class yogi. Material loop. This is the material loop. Ignorance, sinful life, material existence. Goes on and on and on. Happiness without sacrifice. Tapa, Lord Brahma. Okay. Actually, Lord Brahma, when he first appeared, he didn't know where he was. He was looking around. He couldn't find anything. Then all he could hear was these words, Tapa. Then he sat and did meditation. Very seriously, he did his penance, and then he could see Vishnu and he gave him all the instructions. Okay. All sacrifices must be performed with the knowledge of their purpose and goal. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. Nayam lokosti avajnasya kuto anya kuru sattama. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? So all these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Let us discuss this later. So many terminologies and talking about sacrifice so much. We exist in this material world because of our own reactions to our sinful lives. We have been committing sins unknowingly or knowingly. We have committed so many sins. That's why we are still here. So all these living entities in this material world, they're all ignorant. They don't know the real position. What is the real situation? They don't know. You can take any living entity around you know, including us. There are many, not just people, animals, flies, birds, anyone. They don't know their real situation. They're all souls. They just lost their way because of their own, sinful life. So this human life is the only chance we get to take ourselves out of this entanglement. How do we do that? Vedas give us all the instructions. You can escape this material entanglement by following all the religious principles given in the Vedas. And what will happen if you follow all the religious principles and perform all the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas? You get to live a comfortable life here. Like you get all the economical comfort, and demigods are happy. So they'll also provide you all the comfort. Then you can enjoy regulated sense gratification, and slowly you can move up the ladders. So the path of religion prescribed to us, the sacrifice, everything that is prescribed to us will take us towards self-realization. So that is the main intention of all the instructions given by the Lord. So there are different types of sacrifices, and it depends on the worker based on his own nature and his consciousness. So what happens when what happens to a person who does not believe in all this? He will not progress. There is always fall down, and such a person will never be happy. He'll never be happy anywhere. He'll live in anxiety only. So because a person who performs these yajnas, for him there is enough food, enough grains. If he's following all these rules, there will be enough grains. It's not about population. We think about population explosion. That is why there's not enough food. That's why there is this, that. But souls are everywhere. We'll see souls in the grass also. In 1 inch of space, you will see maybe hundreds of souls. So it's not about population. There are living entities are everywhere. They're occupied everywhere. They are inside the sun planet also, inside the other planets also. They just have a suitable body to live there. That's all. The Lord has enough for everyone. He's unlimited. So only by performance of yajnas, so they'll be satisfied. And the body is fully supplied now. Okay, fine, I perform this yajna, my body is fully satisfied, I'm very happy. Next comes satisfying the senses. So for that also there are rules. Okay, you get into this sacred marriage, you follow this grihastha rules, and then through that, you can regulate your senses and stay happy in the family life and help the entire family progress in a proper way, so that you all can come out of this material entanglement, go back to Godhead. So slowly this way, there is gradual elevation to the platform of release from this material bondage. So the highest perfection of a liberated life is to associate with the Supreme Lord. So somehow we have to reach that state where we are serving the Lord and nothing else. What is my situation? I have to do what Krishna wants me to do. So we have to reach that stage. So that is the ultimate perfection. So to achieve that, we have to perform all kind of yajnas and sacrifice. But the yajna, the sacrifice that is mentioned for us, recommended for us is Sankirtana yajna, that we have to remember. So this is what it is about. So all this are doing all kind of sacrifice. Their ultimate goal is they'll all have to end up in Bhakti Yoga, where they are completely surrendered to the Lord. They have no other desire other than serving the Lord. That is where it will end. So the highest kind of happiness and the eternal happiness we can achieve only when we are promoted to the spiritual planets, Vaikuntha Lokas, where there is no misery at all. And this can happen only by the practice of Krishna consciousness. So what is the solution for all the material problems and material existence? Krishna consciousness. If you are working in that consciousness, then all these other Ashtanga yoga and all these other difficult, path is not at all required, because you're already on that platform where we are serving the Lord and Krishna is going to take care. So that understanding is very important. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. This is Prabhupada, as you can see. So the purpose of all sacrifices is to arrive at the stage of complete knowledge, real knowledge. Then we release ourselves from this material miseries. The final stage is to engage in the loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. That is the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. So people who simply sacrifice material possessions without knowledge, they don't have any spiritual benefit. They will not gain any spiritual benefit. So that's how it is. It is better when it ends in knowledge. So we spoke about Dravamaya Yagna, where people just give charity. Jnanamaya Yagna, where they engage in the study of Vedas and books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and they also are engaged in philosophical discussions, logical discussions. Okay, so that is there. And then we also spoke about controlling the senses. It's all about, ultimately, when you talk about all the sacrifice, one thing becomes very clear. It's all about controlling your senses, So that becomes very, very clear. All this is regulated senses, they keep on repeating. It is very important to control our senses, regulate our senses. That is possible only in Krishna consciousness. We have a few more slides. Section 5, conclusion. How to achieve transcendental knowledge. The fruit of transcendental knowledge. We can successfully achieve transcendental knowledge. The symptoms of one who are successfully applied, and transcendental knowledge work, and then the conclusion. Okay, this is a very important verse. That vidhi pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So who teaches us all these complexities? How do we learn this transcendental knowledge? Krishna is saying, approach your spiritual master. This is Krishna and Balram learning from Sandipani Muni. He also went to school. He already knows everything. He is the creator. He is the origin for everything, even the Vedas. But when he was here, he set an example. He also went to Gurukul, right? And how should a student be? He has to be dedicated to the absolute truth. He has to serve the master with humility, not in an argumentative mode. Okay, it's just listen to the Guru, ask relevant questions, proper inquiries, and service attitude is very important. Just follow what the Guru is telling you, then that will make you perfect. So because the Guru himself is Tattvadarshi, he has seen the he can see beyond the domain of the material creation. He knows what is the absolute truth, and he is going to guide the student in the right direction. In Bhagavatam also, there is this example of Bhishma Dev instructing Yudhishthira. It's very beautiful. He tells him, so many, he talks about transcendental knowledge. So the Guru can tell what is ultimately good. It's like Shreya and Preya. Shreya means what is ultimately good. You may not see the benefit right away, but it is ultimately good. It's like waking up very early in the morning and practicing something or whatever. It may be very difficult to do all that, but ultimately it will take you. If you work very hard, one day you will see the result. But Priya is something, it is immediately very nice, but it's like you eat 100 gulab jamuns, or you just don't want to go to work. You won't go for 1 week, but it's just laziness basically. I'm just uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. You should do it as a duty, right? But that's what it is. If you think you're thinking about your immediate benefit, later on we don't know what the repercussions are going to be. So it's like that. So Guru can guide you properly. So we can render service. Guru will teach all this, and the students will render service, learn everything, and he will turn Jnana into Vijnana. It will become realized knowledge. So what is the need of all this? Why do we need a spiritual master? Why do we need all this knowledge? Because again, we are in this material world, which is compared to ocean of nescience. Okay, we are stuck here. It's just imagine a blazing fire and the whole forest is burning, or just imagine a big ocean and you're fallen in it. That's how our existence is. The material body is full of misery only. It's not going to be perfect. But a person who is fallen in it, even for an expert swimmer, it is not easy to come out of very dangerous situation. So we need somebody who can lift even an expert swimmer out of that ocean. Only the Lord can do that. He is the greatest savior. He is the only one who can take us out of all these miseries. So that is why we need a guru. That is why we need all this knowledge, so that we can save ourselves from these miseries. Okay. Rewards of transcendental knowledge obtained from spiritual master. What are the rewards? We'll obtain knowledge and realization that all living entities are part of Brahman. Okay, we'll understand that the Lord is in everyone's heart. All the living entities we see are all part and parcel of the Lord only. With such vision, one will never fall into illusion. We'll see everything with relation to the Lord. Okay, we'll cross over the ocean of miseries. Even if you are the most sinful of all sinners, you just have to surrender to the Lord. That's it, He will take care. Okay, all the reactions will be burnt. As soon as a person surrenders to the Lord and takes up to a proper way of living on the transcendental path, everything will be taken care of. By knowledge of self and super soul and their relationship, one burns all sinful reactions. He achieves self-realization as the mature fruit of all mysticism and finally gets devotional service. Okay. Who can achieve transcendental knowledge? One who has faith can acquire transcendental knowledge. One who is free of doubts. Okay. See, only a faithful person who believes firmly in Krishna will attain transcendental knowledge in Krishna consciousness. So a devotee attains faith through his devotional service and by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This chanting will actually cleanse the heart. So what happens to a person who has no faith in the words of the scriptures, like Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita? Persons who are almost like animals, they have no faith, they're always doubtful, and they may even sometimes open the scriptures and read some verses, but they may not believe anything that the scripture is telling them, and they may just artificially they may be following some rituals, but still no faith. They doubt everything. Such a person cannot experience true joy. There's no happiness whatsoever. They're always in anxiety. There will be some anxiety in them. Because devotees are not like that. Devotees are always happy because they know the Lord is there. I've surrendered. Lord is there. They're totally fearless. Like how Prabhupada, he left the country with barely a few rupees in his hand. Not even, it was nothing. He had no anxiety. He just depended on Krishna. I just have to follow my guru's instruction and Krishna is going to take care. He just depended on Krishna totally without anxiety. But these people who have no faith in the Lord, no faith in the scriptures, they will not be happy. Not in this body, any body. They can go to any planet, anywhere, they are not going to be happy. So we should follow the principles of these revealed scriptures with faith and should follow the footsteps of these great acharyas who come under the disciplic succession, and thereby we can attain success. Oh Bharata, stand and fight. He gives all this information to Arjuna and then he says, okay, now get up and fight. So, this is what happens. Now Arjuna is hearing all this and suddenly says, okay, you got all this transcendental knowledge. I spoke enough about myself. Now, get up. No sinful reactions can affect one who performs his duties with transcendental knowledge. With knowledge, all doubts born of ignorance. So one who follows the instruction of Bhagavad Gita as it is imparted by the Lord, who is the Supreme, will become free of all doubts because of the transcendental knowledge. Such a person knows that he is part and parcel of the Lord. Right? He understands, like, I'm just a part and parcel of the Lord and I have to serve the Lord. So let me, just play my part and just be happy. And so he's above the bondage to action. He's telling Arjuna, now you know all this. So just perform your duty. So Arjuna is going to ask more questions actually. Tasmat ajnana sambhutam yutastam jnana sinatmanaha chitvainam samshayam yogam atishtu bharata. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge, armed with yoga. O Bharata, stand and fight. So, Krishna consciousness is awakened by different types of sacrifices to the demigods, sacrifice to Brahman, sacrifice in celibacy, in household life, in controlling the senses, in practicing mystic yoga, in penance, in foregoing material possessions, in studying the Vedas, in partaking of the social institution called Varnashrama Dharma. All of these are known as sacrifice, and all of them are based on regulated action. Now he's saying, okay, Arjuna, get ready to fight now. So the yoga system instructed in this chapter is also called Sanatana Yoga. This may come in the quiz, I'm not sure. But in one of the quiz, this question was asked, what is Sanatana Yoga? So this is Jnana Yoga, nothing but this fourth chapter, the yoga system, we discussed so far, transcendental knowledge, is Sanatana Yoga, or eternal activities performed by the living entity. So again, this yoga also has two divisions. One is called sacrifice for material possessions. The other one is for knowledge of self. So if sacrifice of one's material possessions is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, then it is material. It is done on the material platform. There is no spiritual benefit. But one who performs these sacrifices with a spiritual objective, is doing it in devotional service, then that is perfect sacrifice. So Krishna in the beginning of this chapter, he spoke about his transcendental activities and how he appears, how he performs all these activities and everything, right? He gives so much information. In spite of that, if somebody does not understand Krishna or his instructions, and he has no faith in Krishna, then he's just misusing his independence. We all have this free will. We have a little fragmental independence, not too much independence also. Within that limitation, we have some independence to still choose what we can do. But then they are misusing that. If they don't understand what Krishna is telling, he's talking about his spiritual nature and so much he gave information. But if they don't understand, it's given in the purport. Such a person is a fool, because we have to remove our ignorance by Krishna consciousness, and this can be awakened by sacrifice, and we know what is the Lord's nature now after what all we heard so far. So that's the right way to approach the instructions given by the Lord. He is a supreme person, his activities are transcendental, and only who understands this is a liberated person. Okay, with this understanding, we have to understand Bhagavad Gita. So that is the ultimate message of this slide. So we reached the end of the chapter. We have some summary here. We'll go over that. Section 1, knowledge about Krishna is transcendental. Section 2, Krishna as the goal of all paths and the creator of Varnashrama system. Section 3, Karma Yoga. Section 4, sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. Section 5, summary of transcendental knowledge. So transcendental knowledge descends from Krishna himself in disciplic succession. Okay, Krishna gave this knowledge to sun god Vivaswan, and then he gave this knowledge to Manu, and Manu gave this knowledge to Ikshvaku. And then when does he appear here? When there is decline in religious practices, rise in irreligion. Why does he come here? To annihilate the miscreants and protect all the pious people. It's not just that. He wants to give pleasure to his devotees. That's why he appears. That's his reason too. And then we also learned about how about the different sacrifices, and then what is liberation, how we should dovetail our activities in Krishna consciousness. So this is what we learned. So next chapter is again Karma Yoga. now we'll understand. Krishna is going to answer Arjuna's questions, and then we'll understand more about that. So I'll stop the live stream. We can take some questions and discuss more. Just a minute.